Welcome to another episode of the Soothing Semantics podcast. I'm your host, Rafi Pinsky. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, leave your comments. This is the 171st, no, 172nd episode of the Soothing Semantics podcast. And today we have an awesome guest, somebody that I recently came across, and I love his debating style. Really just knows how to give it back in terms of the anti-Israel content creators on all platforms. I know that you have talked to a bunch of people on Omegle, right? Like you'll go
A
online and
bunch,
you'll talk to
bunch.
them, and I came across some of your stuff on Instagram, and I'm like, I like this guy. He's good. He always has a response. You're very quick. You're a smart dude, and I wanted to reach out to you. So I'm happy you're joining me today.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so Sahar, I appreciate you. And to introduce you quickly, you're a content creator. You have 11,000 on TikTok. I think you recently hit 10,000, right?
I hit 10,000 2 days ago, and from 10,000, it goes way quicker.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to do with YouTube. I'm really looking forward to getting to the 10K mark because I think it'll be a lot easier at that point.
How many do you have on YouTube at the moment?
Almost 3,500.
Awesome. YouTube is a
Yeah,
lot more difficult. YouTube is a lot more difficult, but if you really, implement shorts, shorts are amazing. They're really going to increase your reach. But yeah, YouTube is for sure a more stable platform for the long run. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not relying on TikTok. I am more relying on Instagram, but YouTube is for sure the way to go.
yeah, YouTube is the best. I have it on all platforms, but little by little, man, we're getting there. Little by little,
Amen.
I'll get to the 10K mark, man. I have no doubt. I've almost 200 episodes, man. I just got to be consistent, keep going, and
Awesome.
that's it.
It's an
Yeah,
honor. It's an honor to be your 172nd guest. Awesome. I want it to be
yeah.
170, but it's okay. I'm not mad at the previous guests.
Listen, hopefully you'll come on again, maybe at 200, whatever it is. It'll be another milestone. So that'll
Amen.
be great. Yes. So Sahara is an evil white colonialist, and and he feels bad about it sometimes, but it is what it is. So anyway,
Hmm.
I thank you for coming on the show, and hopefully Dalton Jamari Jr. is listening to this. For whoever doesn't
Hopefully.
know, for whoever doesn't get the joke, he's this Palestinian American who likes to go on Omegle and troll Israelis a lot in the army, and he just makes believe he's like this random Southern American guy, even though he looks the farthest thing from that. Has this whole fake name, this whole fake facade, and then at the end he says like he's a Gazan, gets all nasty with people. If he does end up watching this, I'd love to debate you, dude. You better come really prepared for the debate because I am going to really have a good time with that. I'm sure as you would. You haven't done an actual debate with me yet, have you? Like a full
It's
blown,
impossible. It's impossible to have a debate with someone like Dalton Jamari or by his real name Bilal. I don't know his last name, but
right?
it's impossible because he's not here to debate. He's here
Right.
to troll.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he tried to do to me, but I came prepared. And you know, I always try to remember one thing: you don't debate with a troll, you troll with a troll. So
Right.
that's why both of my videos with Dalton are very. They're supposed to be comedic, and I'm not really touching on any situation. I am more inviting. I am telling him, "Come here, come visit. I'll show you around," to show the
Mm-hmm.
hospitality and to show how welcoming we are. And he takes it to a, "You're occupying our food? You took our food?" No, no, brother, no. That's not the point of the conversation. But yes, Dalton is a troll, and he's not a Palestinian. He's an American Arab. He was not born in Palestine. He has never been in Palestine. He's just
Mm-hmm.
using the Palestinian cause to promote his T-shirt sales. So
Right.
yeah,
That's fair. So also, just out of curiosity, you said when he comes to visit, which he won't, that he pays. It was just Stom. You just made that joke, or there was like,
I was trying to make light of the situation. I didn't want to make it so uptight, and I didn't really think about it at the time, because I really set it out of a way to make like a joke. Again, I was going with the troll mindset. And he really took that and said, "Hey, look at the Jew, how he's trying to get me to pay," and people made comments about it, and yeah.
mhm,
But
that's
I
funny.
really, if he's coming, he's paying. Still, that's his punishment. That's his punishment for starting it on the wrong foot with the Jews, of Israel.
Yeah, he's not coming, dude. He's not
He's not
coming.
invited.
No, it's definitely not. Okay, so thank you for joining me, brother. Let's get into your content creation journey because it seems like it's not hasn't been that long since you started. Give me a little bit of a background about you, maybe what you do for a living, or a little bit about the last couple of years of your life, and
Mhm.
then give me an idea of how you got into making the content you're making now.
Of course. So I was born in Israel. I'm 28 years old. Uh, a lot of people ask me about my English, how my English is so good if I was not born in the United States. I moved to the US when I was 14. I went to a school there for 2 years. That's how I improved my accent, my English, and my accent. I improved on YouTube. Took these YouTube lessons by this one girl called Rebecca Linquist, and she really improved all of my pronunciation. I came back to Israel to draft to the military. I served in the Nahal for 3 years. I got released, and really didn't touch on the politics, on any of this, on any of these things. Really, nothing at all. Um, and the way things really changed were when October 7th happened. And by the way, I didn't say I own a marketing company in the United States. I help home service companies receive leads, and that's about that. So my day-to-day life is in English, and that's about that. On October 7th, I received a phone call from my sister. She tells me, "Did you lock the doors? Is everything locked?" I'm like, "What's going on? What's happening?" She said, "Thousands of terrorists invaded our country. Make sure everything is locked." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Is this a joke? What are you saying?" She said, "No, it's not a joke. Open the TV." I'm opening the TV. No deaths were reported at the time because I remember it was like around 10 or 11. And I was seeing this. And the
10 or
first
11, 10 or 11, no deaths. They got into through the border at like
no
six-ish.
deaths were reported, I believe, until one. I mean,
Uh,
because it was impossible to get in. It was impossible to get into the kibbutzim, impossible to get into the Nova Festival. My cousin, when he escaped the Nova Festival, he did not get any information from anyone until till 2
wow.
p.m.
Oh,
So
so you have a cousin
they were not aware of anything. What was that?
you have a cousin that escaped the festival. Wow.
I have a cousin that escaped the festival. I am going to discuss about this a little bit because I did make a video with him. We went to the Nova Festival and we literally did his entire track where he went from the festival, how they got stuck on the road, how they went to the bushes to hide, how he almost got shot, how they almost made the wrong decision to go to Be'eri. And it's all going to be on the new video that I'm making. It's 17 minutes long, and it's going to be posted soon.
Mhm.
Um, but back to the topic, I remember that I was looking I was watching the news and I was like, the first thing that came to my mind, I wonder if the world is finally going to be on our side. Finally. That was my only thought at the moment. And the day kept the day went by, the death toll kept going up and up and up and up, and it went from 100 to 200 to 300 to 500 to 700 to 1200, and I couldn't believe my eyes, and I was like, and I saw all the footage and all the images online on Telegram, and I was like, how in the world is this happening? A day later, I'm joining TikTok lives with pro-Palestinians who are flipping the situation, flipping the narrative, saying, yeah, this happened because you occupied them. This happened because you're doing this. And I was debating people. I received some death threats from Arabs that are living in the country. Some people told me that I need to take this to the police, but I was like, I don't care. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. And I kept joining TikTok lives. Slowly, the pro-Palestinian site started doxing me and started releasing information about my business, about my full name, about my YouTube channel. I have a music YouTube channel. Started making fun of me. And then I decided that it's not really good for my mental health. So I completely ditched TikTok and I went on Omi TV, which is one-on-one conversation. And
Mhm.
that's how I started doing my TikTok live, my Omi TV live debates. They're not actually live, but
Got it. Got it. Okay. No, that's a lot to digest. So now that you've been doing the TikTok lives, I don't know what has been some of the experiences you've had. I mean, you just gave me a bunch of the experiences, but have you had anyone that's kind of changed their mind at all, or are you literally just okay?
yes.
So you have.
I've had some very pleasant surprises. I talked to a guy from who grew up in Shrem. I think it's called do you call it Neblis? I'm not sure. think it's
No,
Nablus.
Shechem is Nablus. Yes, Shechem is Nablus, and Hebron is Al Khalil, I think.
Yes. So he grew up in Nablus, and he talked to me, and the first thing he said was, "Can I curse? Is it okay to curse or no?"
Yeah, see what, yeah,
I don't know if this is monetized. I'm not gonna curse, but he said some bad things. He said,
you can. I always do. Go ahead.
okay, so fuck you Israelis. I don't like you Israelis. You guys are violent. You kill our people. And then we started having a conversation with him, and we explained to him everything. I said, listen, if you ever come to Nablus again, I think he went abroad. I think he lives in the UK or something. I said, if you ever come here, please let me take you around. Let me show you around. Let me show you Yafo. Let me show you Haifa. Let me show you Tel Aviv. I'll show you. I can promise you one thing. The people on your side, if you take me to Shem, are going to want to kill me.
Yeah,
But the people on my side, nobody's going to touch you. I
yeah.
promise. Nobody's going to touch you. I know you think they're telling you that if you come here, everybody's going to try to kill you. Everyone's going to try to. None of that is going to happen. I promise.
Hmm.
At the end of the conversation, he said on his own, you know what? I'm finally understanding that the problem is on my side and not on your side. I'm finally understanding that my friends are violent and that I grew up in a violent scenario. And I hope to come to Israel one day so you can actually take me on a tour and show me around. Like it ended on a really, really genuine note. And it's one of many. It's one of many conversations that I've had.
Wow.
I didn't record my conversations back then, but then I started realizing that I have a gold mine in my hands, and I started recording and uploading the content on TikTok, on Instagram. My previous TikTok account got banned at 13K, probably by Hamza, who reported my video with him.
He did.
He did. Yeah, I have someone
How
from
do you know he?
TikTok.
How do you know he reported it?
I have someone that works with someone that is associated or affiliated with TikTok, and he dug deep into the situation.
Oh wow. Okay, so he
So I
reported it.
blocked
He
him.
was he was embarrassed. He was embarrassed by how dumb he sounded. That's
Of
great.
course, of course. Everything that makes his narrative look wrong is not something that's benefiting him. So of course he would not
Yeah,
upload anything like that.
he's not. Yeah, because I've seen some of his talks. He only talks to young kids, or he talks to Israelis that because there are a lot of Israelis that don't know about the conflict deeply. Plenty of them,
Exactly.
young guys in the army, young kids. That, obviously they're pro-Israel because they're Jewish and they grew up in Israel. So like, oh, but they can't have a proper debate. They either don't have good enough English or they just don't know enough. So for him,
Exactly.
even if he knows an ounce more than they do, he stumps them. He'll get them. He'll get them. You know, caught up because they don't know what to respond. But
Exactly.
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen with you. That's for sure. And it wouldn't
I
happen
mean,
with me either.
that's what I tell to all the people. I do TikTok lives sometimes with people, and they all watch me and say, "Awesome job with Hamza, awesome job with Dalton." And I tell them, listen, you guys, if you want to go on Omi TV to debate people, you never know. First of all, you never know if they're recording ever. So
Mm-hmm.
always treat the person you're talking to like he's recording. Always.
Yeah,
Um, and second, don't debate anyone if your English sucks ass ever.
yeah,
You're just causing damage to what I'm doing, to what Daniel Brown is doing, to what you're doing, to what other people are doing that have a decent enough English. If you don't have decent enough English or you don't have a decent understanding of the conflict and history or anything like that, don't talk about anything. Just
yeah,
say, thank you for the conversation. I would rather not speak with you and skip. Don't
yeah.
engage. Don't engage.
100%. That's very good advice. It's very good advice. All right. So now that okay, so you've been doing this content for quite some time. What are some plans that you look to accomplish aside from growing the channel? Obviously, are there any particular people in the pro-Palestinian space that you're looking to talk to? You're looking to debate specifically?
Actually, a lot of the people that go on the Pierce Morgan show, I forgot the name of the show, but I would really like to debate one of them. Bassem Youssef is one of them that I would like to
Yeah.
talk to. I really think he's riding this conflict to sell more shows, and he doesn't truly understand what's going on. And just noticed whenever people ask him some questions, he says, "What would you do instead of Israel?" And he says,
Oh my God,
"I don't
he's
know.
great. No, no,
I don't know."
he's like not that. It was on trigonometry. There's the YouTube channel Trigonometry. They had him on their show. That was where it's from. And they're like, "What would you have done differently?" And he's like, "Not that." They're like, "Okay, we understand, not that. What would you have done?" He goes, "Not that." He couldn't answer it because he didn't have an answer.
Exactly. So how
But
can you
and what?
criticize a situation you don't even have an answer to? What would you do? What would you do?
Yeah,
Oh my God, Bassem Youssef. I'm dying. I'm dying to get a hold of him.
I would love to. By the way, I actually may have the ability to get. I don't want to. Don't get too excited now,
No,
but
no,
there's a guy that a Jewish guy that works for a very famous entrepreneur. Have you heard of Patrick Bet David? Maybe.
no.
Okay, so he is lives in Fort Lauderdale, and I don't know if I was whatever. It's fine. He is very open about where he lives. So he's a very successful guy. He's not Jewish, even though his last name sounds Jewish. He's a Syrian and Armenian,
Hmm.
very, very successful. And he has this Jewish guy, Adam Sosnick, that is pretty much his right hand man. I mean, they're always together. Patrick has a podcast, very large podcast, and Adam is usually one of the co-hosts. He's almost always one of the co-hosts, and he has his own podcast called the Saucecast. So he covers dating and relationships. He covers some business. He covers now he's been covering Israel and Palestine a little bit. He's an American Jewish guy, pro-Israel, all that. And I had him on my podcast a while back, and we're friends and we talk, and hopefully we're looking to put something together. But he had a little bit of a debate with Bassem because Bassem was invited onto Patrick's podcast.
Hmm.
I'll send you the podcast so you definitely should
Sure,
listen.
sure thing.
But anyway, I hopefully I'll have the opportunity to talk to Bassem at some point because Adam and Patrick obviously have the connection. So
I
if
would
I
love
can
to
make
see
it,
that. I would
if
love to
I
see
can
that.
if I can make it happen, I'll do my best to connect you with him.
I would honestly like to. I would love to see you debating him also on this. Do you have a
I'm
physical place
very
for the podcast?
sorry.
Do you have a physical place for the podcast, like where you have mics and everything?
Yeah, I do it, but I have mics right now, but I'm trying to build out a real studio. I do it in my apartment sometimes. I have good mics. I have the Shure SM7B mics. Those are the best, the best you can get. But we'll schmooze about it. I have some big plans. God willing, I'll be able to implement everything in the near future. So, but either way, there's always a way. There's a will, there's a way. If it needs to be done on Zoom, we'll make it work one way or another.
Right.
But yeah, he's a big one. I would like to debate Mohammed Ijab. I would like to debate this girl Nardine Kiswani. Maybe you've seen her. She's like big in these campuses. She's this like Palestinian American attorney.
Is she the girl that also goes on Pierce Morgan? The one with
Yes,
the one that wouldn't say that she said that nobody was raped on October 7th, I think she said.
pretty sure
She
that was
worked
her.
at Hamas.
Pretty sure we're talking about the same person. Yeah, I'll
Yeah, yeah.
verify after the podcast or the yeah. Uh, and I don't take this lightly. I understand. I feel very prepared to debate all of them because I've listened to a bunch of debates that all of them have had, and so I know a lot of their talking points. And
Hmm.
before I speak to them, I'm going to watch a few more again, just so and I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to do all that jazz. I want to debate Norman Finkelstein. The only thing with Norman Finkelstein is he's very well versed in the history, and he likes to bring up the history a lot. He doesn't focus as much on the present and the future. He's much more past focused. So I have two people that I would bring on to do history with. Not that I don't know it, but Norman is like a buff. Even if he has some things that he's wrong about, it's more of the nuance. He just sees the whole thing incorrectly, but he still knows, okay, this happened in 2000, this happened in 2005. So I would definitely do a double. If I were to debate Norman, I would tell the host or the moderator, bring on someone else with Norman, and I'm going to bring on someone else with me because I know a lot about Palestinian culture, the nuances. For example, uh, what a what's it called again? A nasheed is, for example, right? You know all these things. I just know
Yes.
right away. You know all these things. But a lot of people don't know these things. They don't know the ins and outs, the little details of what's going on under the table, right? With all their songs, all the Hamas songs, right? And I've been listening and I've been looking at these things before I went to the army. So I that part I'm good with. But when it comes to the history, I would bring on Dr. Mordechai Kadar. Or there's like maybe two other guys. If you're very well versed in the history as well, and you know all the little details of UN resolutions and chapter this and chapter that, those are things that sometimes I have a bit of a tough time remembering.
I might be able to. You said you can get a hold of Bassem Youssef. I might be able to get a hold of Mordechai Kedar if you'd like.
I had him on.
Uh,
I actually I have his. I have his phone number. I had him on my
I
podcast.
see. I can't even help you. I can't even help you.
Hey man, first of all, I'm sure there's ways we can help each other. But it's you're not. I brought you on here to have a conversation. I appreciate you though. We'll
Of
see.
course, but if
Hopefully,
again, if there's anything you think I can do to help, let me know. I would love to.
I, I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Of course.
Okay,
By the
so
way,
well,
when you talked about what's his first name of Finkelstein?
Norman.
Norman. I feel like when you debate with people like this, you got to stick to one point. When you bring a billion topics, a billion points from history, it's not really, it doesn't take a genius to understand that what happened right now on October 7th is right or wrong. It's wrong.
Right,
No
right.
history can justify anything. You understand? So if you
That's
stick to that point,
that's
go
the
ahead.
other thing is the history is important, but the history is the history. It's not. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean we should ignore it. We have to focus on what is. Because what
Right.
Norman likes to do is he likes to go. He doesn't believe Israel is legitimate in the first place. So he lives in this fairy tale land, and I tell him, and he likes to legitimize Hamas and gives all these reasons for because he essentially is a Jewish apologist. He's an appeaser like Neturei Karta. It's the same mentality.
Mhm.
And so his view is, well, let's focus on the history and let's find a way to dismantle Israel in the first place because he doesn't believe it's a legitimate state altogether, right? So I have to focus a lot more on what is instead of what he thinks ought to be. And so I'd say the Jews are here whether you like it or not, buddy. I don't care how much you hate yourself and how much you hate your own people. The Jews are here to stay. We're a nuclear first world military power. We're not going anywhere.
Mhm.
You wanting to dismantle the land is not going to change reality. So what do
Mhm.
you propose we do? I've listened to many debates with Norman, with that other people had with Norman. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to be delusional and say I'm prepared right now. I still would really spend if I knew, let's say in 2 weeks I'm getting on with him, I would take it very serious. I would take a lot of notes. I would review notes. I would go on and listen to a bunch of podcasts again that he's been on. And then obviously I would still want to bring somebody else on because I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. At the end of the day, he's a lot older than me. He's not a stupid guy. In many respects, he's a very smart guy. I don't agree with his points. You think he's an idiot?
Alan Finkelstein. I'm not Alan. Alan, not
Norman.
Alan. Norman. I was thinking about Alan Dershowitz, a
Oh,
person who was on a debate with him and really dealt beautifully with him. But Norman Finkelstein, yes, I do think he's. I mean, I don't think he's an idiot. He's a scholar, and that's exactly why people give a lot of weight to what he says because he's a scholar. Same thing applies to Ilan Pape. People teach Ilan Pape at college universities when it comes to Middle Eastern history. So
right.
of course people are going to come brainwashed out of the universities thinking that everything that's happening here is not legitimate. But and it's only because they're scholars. I'm reading a book right now. It's called The Palestinian Lie, and no, sorry, The Industry of Lies, and it's talking exactly about how the scholars are the people that are making this whole situation difficult for Israel around the world. Only
Mm-hmm.
because they're scholars and because they're professors and because they're doctors, people tend to think that what they're saying is holy, what they're saying is 100% accurate, which is not the case. It's
Right.
not the case. I don't know how you can be a self-hating Jew when you're not netuei karta, netuei karta I can understand and not understand at the same time because they're going according to the Talmud. They don't believe the Messiah came, so for them it's not legitimate to come back to the country. They're just writing the Palestinian cause, just like B. Fendi's writing the T-shirt sales using the
Correct.
Palestinian cause. Exactly the same thing.
That is
So
true.
yes, you're right. Norman Finkelstein is not an idiot. He knows exactly what he's saying. But I believe that if you stick to modern day points, you can really beat this guy because if you go back to history, you can go back to 3,000 years ago and refute everything that he said. We
Correct.
had a we had a legitimate claim to the land. We still have a legitimate claim to the land. Nobody can refute that. If you go back to 1948, I'll go back 3,000 years ago. I don't mind.
Mhm. No, there's a lot of very good points that I have that I don't think we'll be able to answer. Very solid points. We'll go into them. We'll go into them a little now. We'll talk about. But what do you think about these campus protests, man? Give me the scoop.
Um, first of all, I talked about my current dream. My current dream in the past month was to go to the United States and actually debate people on campus. My dream. I'm
Mhm.
like seeing people in the United States, and I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could have been there. I wish I could have stumbled,
Yeah.
across these people. But unbelievable, unbelievable. You just see how the woke community is waking up. Literally, they're literally woke. People that have nothing to do with the conflict are getting brainwashed by their Arab leaders. Someone is for sure funding this. Someone is for sure helping this whole situation, take place on our campuses.
Well,
It's
sadly, there's a Jewish guy. George Soros is a big funder of this, unfortunately. If you've heard of the guy, yeah,
unbelievable, unbelievable. I mean, people are doing a revolution for the sake of revolution, which is something Musab Yusuf said, and I really, really resembled with this. People are they don't even understand what they're doing a revolution for. Why don't they go and protest for the 600,000 people that died in Syria until 2015 in 10 years? Why people say I see people starving in Gaza and I need to do something about this. People are starving in Yemen every day, and you don't do anything about this. You phony hypocrite.
yeah, it's
You
crazy.
phony hypocrite. People are doing this just, I believe, purely because they're anti-Semitic, purely because they're brainwashing them about the wrongs of Israel, that Israel did 9/11, that because of Israel, all the problems in the world are happening. But I don't know. I don't know. It's really, really frustrating. But I'm also happy. I'm happy that people are really dedicating a lot of their times to hate Israel and hate Jews, because it only proves we're a successful minority. It only proves that we're making a difference in the world. People don't like successful minorities. And it gives
Yeah,
me pride. It gives me pride to be a part of the Jewish people. It gives me pride to be, a part of this amazing community. I'm proud to call you my brother. I'm proud to call Rudy Rahman my brother. I'm proud to call, all of the Jewish advocates, and even the Zionist advocates that are not Jewish. We're all a big community. It makes me proud to be here. It makes me proud to do what I'm doing. I'm not making a dime off of this. I'm just happy to be here for my country.
that's great. Well, honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with making some money off of it. If you're doing some content and your channel's bringing some cash, then I think that's awesome. I definitely don't think it should be the goal, but
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I definitely wanted to make me some bread. I don't have any issue with that, but I love what I do.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. I
100%. If you're dedicating time, a lot of time, I'm assuming, to set up the appointments, the Zoom meetings and everything, of course you should be making money, but this should not be the intention. The money is the cherry on top. Uh,
100%.
but
No, dude, I would not be doing it this long. I'm making very little from this podcast so far. I would not have been doing it this long, almost 4 years now, if I didn't love it. It's such a passion. I love, especially talking about this topic. I get such a high from it because I learn and I'm able to share my thoughts and hear your thoughts, and you can share yours with people listening. It's so valuable. So
I
I
appreciate you for doing
have
this.
no
I,
idea
I
how.
I really appreciate you for doing this. I know it takes a lot of time. I'm a music producer myself. I make music. So I know what
Mhm.
it's like to set up the whole thing. I know what it's like to record the whole thing. I know what it's like to edit the whole thing. I know what it's like to upload the whole thing. So just know that I really appreciate people like you that are doing this, and especially people like you that are doing this for such a meaningful cause. Such a
Thank
meaningful
you.
cause. And by the way, I just want to let you know that I recently partnered with an organization called Fight for Light. They're doing a lot of pro-Israeli content, and and we've actually, I mean, the host, actually, one of the directors, she actually came to a conclusion. She said, I'm really sick and tired of all of the people that are saying, how can people treat Jews like this? Jews are strong people. We are strong. We're the lions of the world. We should not be, playing their game by trying to, victimize ourselves, because we're not victims. We are warriors. We
Mhm.
always fought. We always won. And we shouldn't be having this people are so anti-Semitic. The anti-Semites can go fuck themselves. We don't give a shit about the anti-Semites, we're happy to be Jews. We're
Sentiment.
gonna keep.
I love this dude. Awesome. Yeah.
That's
Go
it.
on, go on. I didn't know. I didn't want to cut you off. You were going on a rant. I love it.
I'm saying Jews are strong people. Jews are here to stay. We've been, I believe between 16 to 30 million people. I mean, before the Holocaust, we've been, not a majority ever. We've never been a majority, and we're not going anywhere. We don't care about 2 billion Muslims. We don't care about 2.2 billion Christians. They can do whatever they want. At the end of the day, I believe that. I believe that we are the chosen people. We're here to prevail, and I know that with people like you, with people like me, and with other people in our great community, we will keep prevailing. And we're strong, and we're powerful, and nobody scares me. I see that the people on campuses, I'm like, okay. Again, yesterday they protested against something else that didn't matter,
Yeah.
so it's gonna pass from the world. I'm really not bothered.
So you're getting me to think of a couple of things. First off, I believe the whole, with the whole chosen thing, I don't think people would care so much other than aside from the fact that we're Jews. You just said this, anti-Semitism, but all of this is very simple to unpack. They are protesting as much as they're protesting and making such a big issue of this because the Jews are involved in the conflict. It's as simple as
Exactly.
that. And also,
Exactly.
we actually listen and communicate with our enemies versus China, Yemen, uh, Russia, any country you look at, they're not having these conversations. And it's a good thing that we're willing to do that because this is how we are. We have this feeling of the need to communicate, but we're also explaining too much. We're spending too much time trying to prove our legitimacy, and I
Yes.
think it's to a detriment. Come on, but we should exist. I was saying this to Barack, the guy I had yesterday. Come on, but can you just accept that we exist? And they're like, nah. And we're like, but we invented cool stuff like the phone and the laptop and all these vaccines. Can't we just have our own little country? And they're like, nope. I'm like, oh, well, shit, I guess we can't, as
Why
opposed
are
to
you even
just,
asking? Why are you even asking? When as soon as somebody says that to me, I'm saying, you know what? Get off the phone. There's an Intel chip in it, probably developed by Israelis, probably developed by Jews. Get off the phone. I don't need to
it's
ask you anything. I don't need your permission to have a country. I don't care about what you say. We're
right.
here. We're not going anywhere. So the people
Amazing.
that ask permission,
That's an issue. But now, in the past wars, Jews seem to be very afraid to speak up. They were waiting for the storm to pass. I have to say, since October 7th, man, on social media, Jews are going pretty strong up. It's nice to see. They're even getting out in the streets. It's good. That's the best way to handle this. The best way to combat any of this is to be just as forthcoming and just as big and take up space. That's you need to. That's
do you
that's an
have
issue.
anyone in your do you have anyone in your inner circle or outer circle that's Jewish and is afraid of what's going on and hiding his Star of David, like really trying
No,
to stay away of political topics?
no. I mean, some of my friends are very outspoken. Others they're very. All of my friends are very much on the same page as I am, but not everybody is willing to put their name out there. Some people work for these corporations, and what happens if they get political, so they don't really want to make a wave. But in terms of their beliefs, they're very open about the fact that they're pro-Israel. So that's not an issue.
Would you be willing to lose your job? I mean, your job specifically is a bit different, but would
I
you
don't,
be
I don't,
willing to lose your job if the company is against your political stance?
yeah, I'm I know I know myself quite well. Very confident, very confident. But it would also depend if I had a wife and kids. It might be a little tough, but probably knowing how I am. This is why I'm in the fields that I'm in the first place. This is why I do a controversial podcast, and I'm a real estate agent. But I'm a real estate agent working for two Jewish guys. They're both
Mhm.
very pro-Israel. Now, even so, I appreciate that they're so supportive that they're like, okay, go and do your thing. Uh, but I chose to do that on purpose. I'm not working for a pro-Palestinian real estate company. This was all done by design. I mean, it's just common sense. And I mean,
Yeah.
in South Florida also there aren't really many of them. Most of the people in South Florida, man, are very pro-Israel. Yeah, you have bits and pieces of some neighborhoods maybe, but you don't really see the protests that you see in New York and in other states in America. They're not really happening here. They're very small little things that spring up here and there, but none of that stuff is happening here because the local government doesn't allow it.
My cousin, actually, the Nova survivor that I talked about, he was invited by some Chabad places in the United States to speak about what happened with him at the Nova Festival. And he
Mm-hmm.
said that when he went to this Florida campus. I don't know the name of it. I think it's called maybe Brian. I'm not sure. He went there and he was giving a speech. I mean, they put posters that a Nova survivor is coming to speak and talk about what happened. So the pro-Palestinian leader on campus, she found his name. She went on his Facebook. She found a picture from 11 years ago from his military service, and she said an
Mm-hmm.
IDF terrorist is coming to speak and spew hate. Like she found a picture from 11 years ago. I just want you to understand how much effort they're putting into drawing us and painting us as the evil and villains that we are not.
Right.
But that was just really funny, like the effort that the people on college campuses are really trying to take just to paint us as the villains.
So what happened? So what happened when he came? They made a whole stink about it?
People were protesting outside. He's pretty strong. He's you need to hear him speak about this. Very, very powerful dude. Very, he's very he brought his friend to the festival, to where the festival was, and his friend was very like in himself and doesn't like to talk about it, but he's sharing. He said, "This is how I'm coping with this. I'm sharing my what happened to me at the Nova Festival so I can cope with this. I don't want to, I've heard of people that committed suicide from the Nova Festival, really people that couldn't deal with the pain. But
I heard there's been a lot. I heard there's been a lot of people that have committed suicide since the attack.
I heard about 50, about 50.
50 people.
I mean, I have no definite number, but I heard about 50. Yes.
That's
The
crazy.
things the things they've seen, unbelievable.
They're yeah, you can't come back from those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
50 people. Holy shit. That's a lot of people. That's a crazy amount of people.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm trying to think when I was there with him, I was trying to think, would I be able to, how would I react? Where would I go? Where would I run? Because when you see the videos, you're like, what? There's a bunch of trees around. But when you're physically there, you're seeing that it's an open space. There's nowhere to hide. They were surrounding you from every place, from every angle. I asked him, why didn't you just run to run to, as far away as possible? I said, as soon as I try to leave my hiding place, you hear whistling bullets, hear bullets flying next to your ears. You don't know where they come from because they were just spraying with machine guns, with AK-47s, with RPGs, they had missiles coming from the sky. They really didn't know what to do. Nothing.
Yeah, it was
Unbelievable.
just the luck of the draw to be able to get out of it. You're just really lucky if you got out of there.
Hmm.
Man, it was so crazy. God, the first day. First, when I just saw the videos, I'll never forget that one video of that one yishuv where the pickup truck came in with the Hamasnikim with the bandanas. They're
Hmm.
standing in the back of the truck and they're coming in. And I was like, I can't believe this. I was glued to my phone. I was like, I cannot believe this is happening. Yeah, it was so crazy.
Just imagine that people in the army, like people in the army bases, they were in Noal Shabbat, even though it's an operational base. People are in Noal Shabbat. Things are more mellowed down.
Relax. Relax,
So
yeah.
so I'm pretty sure that when people reported that there are terrorists outside, some people said some of the Rabat team, I don't know how to say it in English, some of the like head of securities of the kibbutzim, they were like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you're
Right.
seeing people?"
That's what's
Like
so
they don't
fucked
believe
up.
it.
That's what's so fucked up is like Israel's so used to these things, we don't even believe it because we're just like, what's another attack? Like, all right, fine. It really is like the boy who cried wolf in a sense because these things are so commonplace. When something really hits the fan, we're like, it's crazy.
Exactly. Which
Uh,
also means the response of our intelligence units. They said that
I,
they've received that notifications like this before. They've received the same alerts from intelligence in Gaza. So they didn't really put a lot of how would you call it, importance under these like the words coming from Gaza. They didn't really like assign a lot of validity to them. And then it happened because some people kept crying wolf, 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 and then this thing just blew up in their faces. So
it's insane.
yeah.
So insane. Well, now they have experienced the repercussions. I mean, Gaza anyway. So now just going into the current turn of events with going into Rafah, Rafah. Now that that has happened, first off, I'm glad they finally did it. It took long enough. What do you think is
Happened
going
a
to
long
be
time ago. Should have happened a long time ago.
it happened a long time ago, yeah, 100%. So what do you think is going to be? You think we're actually? You think this is going to take another year? You think we can accomplish this in a couple of months?
Um, depending how deep we're going. I believe that the damage in Rafa is. Can you hear this?
I heard it. I heard it. I heard a quick thing, but now I don't hear anything.
I really believe that the damage people never beep here. That's what's annoying. I really believe that the damage in Rafah is going to accelerate their will, Hamas's will, to support a ceasefire and support an exchange deal for much lower numbers. Right now, I
Mhm.
think they wanted something like 150 prisoners for every hostage, which brings it up to around 22,500 prisoners for 133 hostages, which is an unreal number. Nobody would accept it. Nobody should accept it. I'm saying I think that the damage that's going to happen in Gaza, in Rafah, is really going to accelerate the peace deal. Do I think we should accept the peace deal? I think we're at the last big city. If there's any way to find any hostages, I feel like this is the way. If we get a peace offer that 100% approves that we get all of our hostages with the least amount of prisoners released, the mission is going to be accomplished. I heard that in the recent peace deal they said that they wanted Israel to agree for a Palestinian state, something like that. Have I heard that right? Something that they're going to build a Palestinian state in Gaza with Palestinian sovereignty or something like that.
I didn't hear about that.
That's what
That's,
I heard.
it's
I
funny because
looked I
go
looked
ahead.
at this deal and I was like, sometimes I'm looking at my government and I'm like, how can you make deals like that? How can you? I mean, I understand we have hostages and all of the hostages need to be brought back, but not under any circumstance. When we released more than 1,000 people with Gilad Shalit, look at what happened. Yahya
Right.
Sinwar planned this entire thing. One person out of the 1,000, 1,000 too many, planned this whole thing and caused the biggest massacre on the Jews since the Holocaust. So imagine what it's going to be with 22,500 prisoners coming from Israeli prisons.
The reality is, if, and I know this is, I said this on my last episode, I know this is not a very digestible thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. If Israel went into Gaza and did a lot more damage, it probably would have put pressure, more pressure at least. But then again, I'm giving too much credit to Hamas for caring about their own people's deaths. But I would like to believe that if they really were hit so hard to the point where they couldn't, and it's already they've gotten hit very hard, but there should be a way for us to get our hostages back without having to give tens of thousands of terrorists away. There should be a way to do that because yes, we need the hostages back, but freeing too many of these people can cause so many future issues.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of Gaza becoming a state, I mean, I think Jordan should become their state if anything. They don't need two states; they technically
I
have one
agree.
already.
I
But they're
agree.
but they're not going to agree to that. The reality is they're not going to agree to that. So I've said this many times. This is my conclusion. I don't think a two-state solution would work, nor do I want. We've given away enough land. We fought for our survival when they've tried to destroy us multiple times. They've forfeited that right. They had that opportunity. Appeal Commission, UN partition plan, many other times they've had these opportunities. We've given them the offers. They denied it and kept fighting us in order to get what they really want, which is the one state
I agree.
without us. Okay. And so you keep trying to eliminate us, and then you ask us for things after you failed to accomplish your goal of eradicating us. Now you go, we're sorry we tried to slaughter all of you. Since we lost, could we get some more land? Even though we wanted the whole thing, since you didn't just fall over and die, could we get half? And we're like, no, you can't, because we know that's not what you really want. You want half, so then you can have the whole thing.
Exactly.
So ultimately, there's only three ways to go about this, in my honest and humble opinion.
I hope you're
And
going to
this,
say one of the things that I'm hoping for, but let's hear.
okay, again, this is very right wing stuff, but I don't think it's even right. I think it's just common sense. It's really just common sense. Two-state solution won't work. Both sides are not going to agree to a two-state solution because neither of them want it,
Hmm.
especially the Palestinians. They do not want it. They want the whole thing. That's not going to work. Anyone who believes that as a Jew is delusional. Okay,
Hmm.
one state won't work either because there will be a majority of Arabs in a Jewish state, which won't work. In practice, it just won't work. Okay, so you
Right.
can't have a two-state and you can't have a one-state. So what do? There's about as many of them as there are of us. Well, looking at it from a perspective of human nature and the fact that humans are essentially hairless murder apes, okay? This is just, unfortunately, we're humans and we do some fucked up shit. If we have two groups of people that are not willing to share a piece of land, no matter how we frame this, there's three things that can happen. This is unfortunately the reality. I don't see anything else that proves otherwise. And I think deep down, the leadership on both sides knows it. The leadership outside of this conflict knows it. People like to dance around it. Three things that can happen. Either Gaza is turned into a state where they stop all their bullshit, stop attacking. There may be a few attacks here and there for some tiny fringe groups. For the most part, the vast majority of them are not doing anything to attack Israel. They accept Gaza as their state, and we call it a day. Not sure how likely that is. Okay, maybe that'll happen if Hamas is out and we have a new leadership and they have some new. I don't know. The other option is that we end up in another war down the road where that war is kind of the final war, and we say, listen, we're not doing this whole dancing around. It's you versus us. Whoever wins this gets everything. Whoever loses this, peace. So either one side kills most of the other side or one side kicks most of the other side out. It's not what I want. In an ideal world, it would be great if we can both have our lands. We can have coffee together and do business and enjoy our lives together. That'd be great. But just based on the circumstances, based on deep rooted religious beliefs and all of these things, I think those other two ways, unfortunately, are probably going to be the outcome. Again, I'll say it again. People can't hear nuance. It's not what I want. I'm a peaceful guy. I wish peace was possible. Just not very likely. And if it is likely to happen at some point, it's going to be through military strength on Israel's side. It's not going to be purely from a perspective of, you know what, the Jews actually do belong in Israel. It is their homeland. Let's just let it be. No, it's going to be, we can't defeat these Jews. They're relentless. They won't give up. We can't fight them. We're fighting a losing battle. We can't keep doing this. It's been too long. Let's just accept what we're being given. Let's take what we can get and call it a day, and that's the end of it. That's going to be their best part. That's going to be their best choice. How much longer are we going to fight us?
You know what's our secret weapon?
We have nowhere to go.
Exactly. It's not the aircrafts, it's not the tanks, it's not our army, it's not the nuclear weapons, it's not the support from the United States, it's not the support from France, it's not the support from England. It's the fact that we have no other country to go to. Palestinians are Arabs. They can go to Egypt, they can go to Jordan, they can go to Syria, they can go to Lebanon, and 49 states that are Muslims, that are Arab. We have nowhere.
There's 49?
49 countries, Muslim countries, yes.
I thought it was 22.
Sorry, 49 Arab countries, Arab. Some of them are Muslim and Christian. I know that Indonesia, for example, is 40 or 50% Christian and 50% Muslim.
I think Indonesia has a much higher Muslim percentage. Maybe not.
People from Indonesia write me all the time and say that it's only 50% of the population that's Muslim. Christians support Israel. I know it sounds surprising, but maybe you're right. I'm not 100% on this. I just know that they have other places to go and we don't. So you can try to eradicate us as many times as you want. We're not leaving. We're staying. Yeah. I love my country. I love my country, and I would kiss the ground 3,000 times, just like the 3,000 years that we've been on this land. And about the solution that you said, you think like these are the three legitimate solutions. Have you ever heard Mordechai Kedar's proposition of Palestinian Emirates?
No.
Very interesting. Palestinians are Arabs, right. And Arabs like to live in tribes. They have a very tribal mentality. They're not built for democracy. They're not built for all of this modern westernized world of living in a country. They're tribes. How do tribes live? They have a leader. Their leader is usually a family, a running family, a ruling family. In Jenin, in Ramallah, you have the. Give me a few popular last names from Ramallah and Jenin. There's what's the name of the girl that did what she did? Hamimi. Hamimi or Hamimi.
Actually, I've to be perfectly honest, I've been in their house a few times.
Yeah, awesome. But
I'm putting myself on the spot here.
Right. I had Tamimi, comes from a very, very big family. a very big ruling family. I don't know from which city, but I know that every large city in Judea and Samaria is considered, they have a leading family for each city. Now, if you want to create order, you can't have a regular democracy or voting or anything like that in an Arab place, in an Arab territory.
No.
You can only have a leading family. An example, why is the UAE so successful? Why there's so much order in the UAE, in your opinion?
Well, I think because they all respect the king. And
Right. And
because
the
for
king is what? It's the royal family. The royal
right,
family that controls smaller families, and they control the people. You have a big family, and if something is compromised at the bottom, the big family is compromised as well. So when you have a running leading family in Jenin and a running leading family in Ramallah, they already have these families. They just have to be appointed to be running these
right,
places. All the
right,
money goes through them. If they fuck up, the money goes out the window. That way, it becomes personal for the family. The family loses money, not the people. So now you need order, so the family can operate correctly, and the family can obtain order in the region, in Jenin, in Ramallah.
right.
10% of the population is going to be that's one of his propositions. 10% of the population is going to become Israeli citizen. It's going to be a long process of about 10, 15 years where they check if they have any association with terrorists, any association with Fatah, any association with Hamas. And slowly, you integrate them into society. I'm assuming it's going to take a long time to get an Israeli citizenship, but they're going to have like green cards, just like in the United States.
Mhm.
That's the proposition of Mordechai Kedar, which I think is pretty awesome because we're trying the traditional way of having a democracy and having a government. It's not actually a democracy. Hamas are a designated organization, a terrorist organization. But if you try to work with an Arab tribal mentality, I believe you're going to be able to find a real solution for the situation that we have with Gaza and Judea and Samaria.
So wait, but how does that work in practice? Meaning we're going to make all of them Israeli citizens because you said 10%. So
No,
what
no,
do you mean?
no. All 10% that are not living in Jenin, Ramallah, Nablus, like the large cities, that hold a majority of Arab people. Some of them will be either joined to the Palestinian Emirates, meaning to Jenin, Ramallah, and Gaza, and
Mhm.
the people that live in small villages are either going to be integrated into society. It's a long process. It doesn't just happen. And the rest are going to be either joined to the cities or I don't know exactly what's going to happen.
So
But
there's
the
just going to
plan,
be little pockets. No, go ahead, sorry.
what was that? What was that?
So it's basically the West Bank and Gaza are going to be their own separate thing. They're technically connected, but they're on opposite sides of Israel, and they're going to essentially be their own
City
state to
states. City states. The only reason you have order in the UAE is not because of their oil. It's only 1% of their GDP. It's because there's
Mhm.
order in the country. Because there's order, the territory and the place itself can prosper.
Mhm.
You have a lot of oil in Iran. Look what's happening there. You have a lot of oil in Syria. Look what's happening there. They're all living with dictatorships. But as soon as you have order and as soon as you have a tribal leading family, that's how you obtain order, according to Mordechai Kedah, who's been inspecting this situation for many, many, many years. So that's also another solution.
Yeah, I think it would also be. I mean, I'm kind of joking. I'm saying this satirically, but if a lot of these Arabs who like to be called Palestinians took DNA tests, a lot of them where they were able to look back far enough in their family tree, they'd probably find out that a lot of them have Jewish ancestry. So
Hmm.
if a large percentage of them were willing to come back to their original roots before they were forced to convert a while ago, that is the reality in my opinion. Now, not all, of course, not probably the majority of them aren't. There's probably a solid percentage. I'm confident. I'm confident that all of the Arabs, meaning the Israeli Arabs, the West Bank Arabs, and the Gazan Arabs, probably 10% of them at least have Jewish ancestry. I think so.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they have
No, I know it
10%.
doesn't matter. No, I know it doesn't matter at this point because they don't identify that way.
And
You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
in order to be, in order, to, I mean, that's also one of their claims that they always bring up on Omi TV all the time, all of the time. They say, "Well, what if my family was forced to convert 15 generations ago?" I said, "Well, if they were forced to convert, then they left the tribe, they left the
Mm-hmm.
culture, and from that moment, they're no longer considered Jewish." You said,
Right,
"Well, how come you don't have to practice Judaism? You're still considered Jewish?" I
right,
say, I practice the traditions of Jews. I celebrate the holidays of the Jews. I do my bar mitzvah. I get my penis cut off sometimes. What?
Sometimes,
Sometimes,
sometimes
not
you do it
sometimes.
once.
One
You do
time,
it once a week. They take a little bit off every time. Sahar?
once a week. Yeah, it's a Jewish tradition. It's a but no, I follow the Jewish traditions just like all of the Jews around the world, even the Jews that live in Mexico and the Jews that live in South America and the Jews that live in different parts of the world. We chose to stay in that tribe. We don't proselytize. We don't go with Christians. We don't go with Muslims. And some people do, but as soon as they do, they leave the Jewish tradition,
Right.
no matter what they think. So, so that claim is not valid. It doesn't matter if they even have 40% Jewish blood. Blood
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You need to
Right.
be a part of the tribe to be accepted. Convert to Judaism, and you have the right of return. You have the right to come back because you
Yeah.
joined the tribe.
Yeah. If they really want, yeah, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, people also don't, and there's so many points. If you and I sat together for a few hours, the best part about this is there's probably nothing that I could say that you would be surprised by. You really know your stuff, dude. You're easily, and this is the first time we spoke, but just from listening to you, you're easily one of the most knowledgeable people on the subject that I've heard easily. And there are
I don't I
people.
don't think I don't think I'm more knowledgeable than Rudy Rahman. I really like the Rudy Rahman style of debating. I really feel like he's very, very well aware. And by the way, there's another person that I would like to try to set you up with. His name is Hebrew Hammer. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I haven't
He
heard of him.
goes on he goes on TikTok lives. The most knowledgeable person I've ever seen on the
Really?
platform. Very knowledgeable person, very smart, reads a lot of books. He can refute any point that Norman Finkelstein will bring up his alley, and
Mhm.
I'll try to set up something with you. Maybe he lives in Vegas.
Okay, send it over. Yeah, I'd love to talk to him. Here's the thing is, I also think Rudy's very knowledgeable. The only thing I don't agree with him on is he believes in a one state solution. Do you know? I mean, have you heard him say that?
Really? I
Yeah,
heard I heard a claim that he says, I believe the Jews and Palestinians should be living side by side, because there's no place without Jew. I know he has this kind of like forgiving, like we're brothers, we're cousins. That's some of his points when he goes on debates, which I don't agree with. I mean, I don't think my cousin would try to kill me. I don't think my cousin would try to kill my
a little too
family.
utopian. I think he's a little too utopian. That's why I think he's been doing this much longer than I have. I have a lot of respect for him. I had Rudy on my podcast, but I have a lot of respect for him. I respect he went to Gaza. It's a lot. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to the debates, sometimes he doesn't hit hard enough. I think he's a little bit too soft when it comes to saying certain things. And I understand that it takes a lot of guts to go out on these campuses. Sometimes you're by yourself. So again, I really give him credit. I don't want it to sound like I don't. But if you're gonna talk about we should all be friends and sing kumbaya, we can do that if both parties are willing to do that. We can't force peace into their face. If they're constantly saying, no, stop offering peace, we don't want it, and you keep going, yes, you do, I'm telling you, if you just listen to me for a second, and they're like, we
Mhm.
don't care what you have to say, we're not interested.
Notice though that the people that he talks to, like with the kumbaya and let's be friends and everything, are in most cases not Arabs. They're not Palestinians. He speaks to people that go on protests, people that are, they've been brainwashed, and he's trying to re-brainwash them. I mean, to de-brainwash them. And
Right.
I actually I appreciate his style of debate. I mean, of debating. I really believe that the way to get to people's hearts, people that are not our eternal enemies, like the Arabs in Gaza and Hamas, and I really feel like the only way to get to the people from the West is to be calm, relaxed, collected, let them finish, and then hit them with facts, because that's what he does. He hits people with facts when he's calm and collected, and he doesn't get angry. I've seen some pro-Israeli people debate on campuses, and they're yelling like crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
People are not going to listen to you. People are not going to listen to you. You need to
terrible.
be a lion. Be firm. Be relaxed.
Terrible.
Be firm.
Yeah, and that, listen, he's very good at what he does. I just don't see the solution as a viable solution. How can you live in it? How can you have a majority of them and then expect everything to just go great? That's not realistic.
I
Yeah,
agree.
let's say you have 10 million of them and I don't know, 6 million of us. That's not a realistic thing. You're putting the country at such a massive risk. Such a massacre.
I never heard about his claim that he wants a one-state solution. Are you sure that's what he said?
Yeah, yeah. He believes that we can
No,
maybe
I don't agree with that. No.
create districts, like we can kind of have a bunch of different regions inside of Israel where you have like an Arab city, Jewish, like essentially a big West Bank, and we all just have our little governments. But it's like, how does it work with voting? If the Jews, because he believes that the Jews will still rule, but we're going to be a minority. And you're going to also, what about the right of return? You're going to allow them all to come back from other countries if they want to. So you might have a lot more of them, a lot more of them.
100%. 100%.
And
No,
they're
no,
going to
no.
have
One
more
state
control.
solution is not a not a valuable solution. We both understand it. And
Go ahead.
if I would have seen one of his debates that he says that, I would probably disagree as well. I don't agree with the one state solution. I don't agree with a two-state solution. One thing that I could agree with is a Palestinian Emirates. It does make sense to me, but no, one state solution, absolutely not.
Yeah, but so that's my big quarrel is like I have so much love for the guy, but I you can make so many good
We
points.
don't have to be we don't have to be the same though. We don't have to have the same perspective. I think it's good that we have people with this kind of mindset because I'm pretty sure Rudy was able to change a lot. I received a lot of
No doubt,
calls
no doubt,
from
no doubt.
people telling me, "Hey, have you seen the video with that soldier that put a sign? I just came out of Gaza. Ask me anything." The video of
Mhm,
Rudy, a really really impactful video. You can see how
mhm.
he changed people's minds. On a video, a lot of people talked about this. So Rudy is really, really bringing great change to the world. We don't have to agree on everything. That's exactly why we have people like you,
That's
and
the
that's
only thing
exactly
I
why
don't
we have
agree.
people
That's
like me.
literally the only thing I don't agree with. Everything else I agree with. And he's bringing Jews together. I mean, the single most important thing he's doing, more than almost anyone else, is he's bringing the Jewish world together single-handedly. He's one person. He's been doing this again much longer than I have. So
Hmm.
yeah, he listen, dude. You can call him even though he's a young guy. He's maybe my age. You're 28. I'm 30. He's probably I think he's around between 28 and 30, maybe a little older, maybe a
Yeah.
little younger. He, he's been doing this forever. He's been doing this for a decade, more than a decade. He's been doing this for a long time. Before it was a thing, before you, me, a bunch of other people were doing it, he was doing it way, way back. So
Used to watch him. I
yeah,
watched him like 3, 4 years ago. I remember watching his stuff.
I was always a really a fan of what he does. I just can't get behind that thought. That's really all it is. And I want to talk to him about it because I just the honest truth, man, is he says there's no future without both of us. I would like. I'm not against both people having a future together, but to be very very honest with you, yes, there is a future without them. It's not that I want there not to be, but yes, sorry to say there was a future without us. People didn't seem to have a problem kicking us out of lands. It's not. I'm not implying that I want to kick people out, but if you're not willing to accept the Jewish state of Israel, you don't get to keep making demands about what you want if you can't accept Jewish sovereignty in the state of Israel. Once you can do that, once you can legitimately do that, then we can talk about me accepting what you're looking for. That's how I see it. That's my attitude.
Yeah. Again, I believe that he's using these terms to get to people's hearts because as soon as you say something that, listen, I'm not against you. That's also principle of debating. When you agree with someone about something that they said, it softens them, and then they're more open to listen to you. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
us, saying the same things all the time, that we've been here for 3,000 years, that we have that Golda Meir was identifying as the Palestinian Jew in the British Mandate, and then like we say the same claims over and over again. But if you want people to actually listen and open up, you have to agree with some things so they are more attentive and more perceptive to what you have to say. It's a lot about psychology, and that's what Rudy is doing, and that's why he's doing it this way. And he changed his style of debating a bit, I believe, in the past few years. He did. I heard different things over the years. I haven't heard the one state solution, but I'm going to try and find that because if that's the case, I disagree, and it's okay to disagree. It's okay to disagree, but yes, 100%. There is a future. There is a future. There is no future for the Jews if the Palestinians are going to be a part of the Jewish state. 100%.
Yeah. It's all about numbers too. Like if there are only 20% of them, we could probably make it work. We're making it work in Israel. It's not perfect. It has its, we still have our issues, but if there's a majority of us, we can make it work. It's really a numbers thing.
Yeah.
So, of course, if they all loved us, if none of them had an issue with us, then yeah, maybe we could be the minority, but it's not, it's not realistic. Okay. So aside from all of that, I just want to see if there was anything else that I want. Okay, what do you think? Well, I mean, we kind of just covered what you think would be, I guess, the best outcome. So that really covers that. I was about to ask you, like, what do you think will be after the war? Well, more so we discussed what would be a good option after the war. But what do you think? Where do you think we're headed? What do you think is going to happen? You think we're just going to hopefully get rid of Hamas and then be in another stalemate with no plan? What do you think?
That's a good question. You know, I don't really think about the future at the moment. I'm thinking about the present. I'm thinking about the hostages that are there. I'm thinking about the soldiers that just went into Rafah. I'm thinking about I'm thinking the only thing I am thinking about the future is if we are not able to eradicate Hamas and people say it's an ideology. No, it's not. I mean, it is. But Hamas is a government organization in Gaza right now, and we are trying to eradicate the government. The mindset is a different situation. We can deal with it after. But right now, people in Gaza need to open their eyes and see that the people that are actually causing this damage for them, to them,
Hmm.
is their own people, is their leadership. And I'm sure there are people that know that. I'm sure
Yeah,
they just can't speak up because if they speak up,
yeah,
just like Dalton like to say, Shanari Gary, Shanari Gary,
yeah.
yo. So I think the only solution would be to fully eradicate Hamas's capability of operating again. That's the first thing. Second thing, in my opinion, I would hope that the IDF would be able to stay in Gaza, just like there are in the West Bank, to start doing checkpoints again. We want
Mhm.
to eliminate any. Have we seen any rockets being fired from Judea and Samaria in the past 40, 50 years? No, because there's soldiers there making sure that it's happening. We do have
Right.
stabbing attacks, which is terrible. We do have shootings, which is terrible, but the scale of the attacks is a lot smaller than what's happening from Gaza. We can't allow this organization to be there. We can't allow this thing to happen. So I think Gaza should the IDF should stay in Gaza. I think the IDF should control specific movement points to make sure that no weapons are coming into the Gaza Strip. And look what happened. We left Gaza in 2005 and it became a terror hub. They literally built a tunnel system bigger than the New York subway system
Yeah.
only because we left. Only because we left. None of this was there before 2005. So if you guys can't live without us, we will come back. We will make sure that the sovereign country of Israel is protected and will be protected for eternity. And again, if they start another war, get the fuck out of here.
Hmm.
Leave. I don't care about what the world says. If you start
Yeah.
another world, the world is not in our shoes. They never will be in our shoes. Canada is never going to attack the United States. Mexico is never going to attack the United States. Same applies to the UK. Finland is not going to attack the UK. Nobody's going to touch the UK. So you're talking from a very privileged place. We are here. We live here. I don't want my kids to live under rockets. I don't want my kids to be scared to go outside. I don't want my wife to go outside scared from being stabbed. No. We need to control them better. We need to make sure we are protected for the future. That's my intake on the future.
100%. 100%. We'll see what happens.
What is
What
your
points?
intake? What do you think should happen after what do you think
Uh,
the IDF soldiers should do right now and after?
yeah, well, I do agree they should stay there for a long time. How long, I don't know. They definitely should stay there until they either decide to hold on to it and kind of give the Gazans an opportunity to govern themselves with army supervision, or they can either give Egypt the responsibility, which I don't think they want, or
They
they
don't.
can give it to, right, they don't, or they can give it to, let's say Saudi Arabia or something like that in tandem, in together with Israel. There needs to be obviously different leadership. I don't really have the answer, but I do think that if Gaza became their own entity, and hopefully we can get rid of having to control what goes in and out. The tough part is, man, is like if they become their own state, they're going to want some sort of their own military.
Exactly. Big
And
problem.
that's a very scary thing. Is like the problem is Israelis are so traumatized and so void of trust that if we give them their own state, they're going to demand that they can now have their own military. And so we're not going to be able to allow them to have a military like we have. We're just not going to be able to do that. And I think as a government, what I would say is, if again, I'm not going to become the prime minister, but if I did, I'd say, hey, you guys want a state? Fine. You still can't be the big boy in the neighborhood. we are still going to be the big boys. You want a state? You don't want to, you want to be here in the region? You can come visit Jerusalem. You can work with us. We can do trade together. If everybody behaves, fine. You can't have an air force. You can't do all these other things. Maybe even down the road, if we really have a good relationship, if some random other country attacks them, because listen, we have peace with Germany now, right? America, Israel. We never thought that would have happened. If down the road somehow we can have peace with them, real genuine peace with the Arabs in Gaza, after many years of conflict, everything changes. Another country wants to attack the Gazans, and we've, 30 years we've built a good relationship with them. Maybe we can help them.
Who
And as
would want
crazy
to
as
attack Gaza? That's the
what do you say?
question. Who would want to attack Gaza? Nobody would want to. I
That's
mean,
the thing. They wouldn't want to. I can't even imagine anybody would. So the same way you have other countries, I'm trying to think of which other countries. You have certain, like Puerto Rico is a great example. They don't really have, I don't even think they have an army. You have, they're
I don't
technically
think
part of the US,
I don't
but
think Gaza should have an army as well. I don't think they
right,
should have access. I don't think they should have access to
right.
ammunition when in Islam they teach you that the only way to deal with the other religions is to fight them if they're considered kuffars. So they take their I've seen this podcast one time of not podcast, this interview of this one guy who said there's no such thing as a moderate Muslim. um, they're all very extreme in their mindset. They're all like, if you go to Arab Israelis now and you ask them, they'll say, what could they have done? You left them no choice. You are an
Mhm.
Israeli citizen. They would have killed you just as much as they would have killed all of us.
Mhm.
And that's your stance. Do you understand this ideology? Do you understand this mindset? So no,
Yeah,
people like should not have an army. And if they would become a state, they would probably want to have an airport as well.
right.
And then how can you control what comes inside Gaza?
Yeah,
And they would
yeah, that's
also want
probably
to have a port and control their own territorial water. And who controls what's going in now? It puts you in a very, very difficult, complicated situation. We're dealing with people that are not people.
We'll explain what you mean.
I'm talking about Hamas right now, and I'm talking about the 70% of the Palestinians that voted for Hamas. And if you
Hmm.
go into Gaza right now, I'm pretty sure that if you ask them and re-ask them about their support of Hamas, they would still say, yes, I support
Hmm.
them. Everything they did is justified. We all saw them celebrating in the street.
Yeah, yep,
How can you put sense into people that have been growing to hate Yahuds, not Zionists? They say it's against the Zionists. I don't hear them
yeah.
saying I don't hear them saying fuck that. How did they say in
Itbach,
Arabic?
yeah, they're not saying Itbach al-Sayyidi or something.
Zionist. They don't say اذبح الزionist. They say اذبح اليهود, which
Yeah,
is very clear to what they mean. It's not about Zionism, it's about Judaism. They are really, really angry about the fact that Jews were able to win every single war that was launched against them. They're angry at it. It's
yeah.
losing over and over again, and they were
Because it's
talking.
about honor. Sorry, go again. Go ahead.
Exactly, exactly. No, no, no. This was going to be my next sentence. It is about honor, and
Yeah,
nothing is worse for them than losing to a stupid religion, stupid people that think that they're the chosen people. Nothing is worse than that, you
yeah,
know. And they've been teaching them to hate us, and I think the only way to change that perspective is to really bring our own education inside.
yeah,
Have Israeli Arabs that are well informed, well educated about the topic. That's the way to change a mindset, not by changing leadership, because these kids are growing up to these bombings and whatever, and they're told, listen, this is what the Zionists, this is what the Jews are doing. I think the education system needs to change in Gaza, and our PR to the world needs to change as well. It's terrible. Israel is not doing a good job
yeah.
marketing the whole situation. They're
Well,
and
I
that's
mean, I think the truth is, dude, we 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 don't we don't do so terribly. I mean, I think we can do a lot better, but I think just the reality is the world doesn't like us, and they have a reason not to. Meaning,
yeah.
we now they believe they have a reason not to. It's just really, it's largely a religious thing. I mentioned this on. I'm going to be making this point. I think every time I do a podcast on the subject now because it really stuck with me. I had this rabbi who's very big on social media, Rabbi Manis Friedman, very popular.
Okay.
And I'll show him to you. He's huge on social media, big on YouTube, Instagram. He's written books. Very smart guy, based out of Crown
You
Heights.
said
He's a
he's your
Chabad.
friend?
I would call him a friend, I guess, at this point. I mean, he, his son reached out to me to come on the podcast. His son reached out to me, asked me if I wanted to have his father, the rabbi, on the podcast, which was really big because he's very well known. It was awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
So he said this, and this is the foundation of all of the fighting. If you will, it's just it makes everything so simple. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Jewish people, according to the Old Testament, were chosen to deliver the message. They were given the Old Testament, the Torah. All of these million, at the time, there weren't necessarily billions of people. Everyone else in the world said, "Hey, what about us? We want to be chosen. What about us? Why are this little group of people? Why do they get that label?" So the Christians decided that they were the new chosen ones. The Jews messed up, they sinned. Now it's the Christians' turn. They're the new Jews. What happens after Christianity? Islam comes and not these other two religions, they're not real. We're the real chosen people. Muhammad is the new chief in town. We're the real ones. Those forget about those other guys. Everybody's fighting for the label of chosen. That's really what this is. And so now the Christians are more moderate. We don't really have major issues with them anymore for now, anyway. Hopefully that stays that way. In the past, we had more issues with them than Muslims in history, but that's not the case right now. So now Muslims essentially, their entire issue with us is about inheritance. If we're talking about the land, the biggest issue and why this probably will never be completely solved, why we'll probably be in conflict with the Muslim world for eternity to some level, is because they believe that Yishmael was the inheritor of the land because he was the firstborn. And the Jews believe that Yitzchak, that Isaac was the inheritor of the land. And this is what obviously it says in the Torah, that Sarah and Avram decided that because that Ishmael wasn't worthy of inheriting the land, it was given to his younger brother. So this is the basis. This is literally what we're fighting about. This is what this is. This all this is. It's two brothers and their ancestors, cousins, fighting tooth and nail on who the land belongs to. If you think about it, this is what this is.
It is. And I feel like that's what Rudy means when he says we are cousins.
Right.
That's what he means. But 100%.
Get that, and I understand why that makes sense because he's saying, okay, well, both people believe it with every ounce of their being. That's fine, but at the end of the day, one of them is likely true. If God exists, I believe He does. One of these religions is going to end up being the right one. I don't know which one. We believe ours is, but
I mean,
something.
you can tell pretty clearly who's indigenous to the land, in a very simple manner. I'll take the Native Americans as an example. Why are the Native Americans indigenous to the United States, to America, if they were not even, I mean, they did not originate in America. They originated in Southeast Asia. So why do people say that the Native Americans, every single person, they'll tell you the Native Americans are indigenous to the land of America. Why is that the case?
Because they have the most proven history.
Because they built a culture. They built a culture, their culture on the land. Arabs did not build their cultures on this land. They didn't. The last 800 years mean shit. They don't mean anything. The Jews did. The Jews came from, I think, Iraq.
You're back at that, just for argument's sake, devil's advocate's sake. Why would you say the last 800 years doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter because, if we look at you again, if you bring up history, then I can bring up the fact that, I mean, even with 800 years, you never had a country, you never had a leadership, you never had any sovereignty over the land. That's why we asked the question, give me one time you had sovereignty over the land. I can give you King Solomon, I can give you King David. That's two. Give me one. I want one. They will all say, well, back in the day, it wasn't very popular to have a country. What are you talking about? We had the Kingdom of Israel. Go to Jerusalem. It's still like the ruins are still there. Go and see. We had sovereignty. You dig anywhere on the land, you'll find Jewish heritage. You find Jewish archaeology. I want to see Palestinian one. I want to see Arab one. You won't find anything. You won't find anything. And just so you know, a lot of the Arab conquest, a lot of like the Arab migration to the land, actually happened in the last 150 years, not in the last 800 years. You understand? People came to work here for the Brits. People came to work for the Ottomans. They came from Egypt. They came from where Syria is. They came from a bunch of places, and then they decided, yeah, we are the indigenous people. No, you're not the indigenous people. You never were the indigenous
Right.
people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just Levantine Arabs from Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Egypt. Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt primarily
Yeah,
that
and they like
came.
to say it. They like to say, yeah, I checked my DNA. It says I'm Levantine. Well, Levantine, the Levantine area is also Lebanon. It's also Syria. It's also parts of Iraq, I believe.
Right,
So you can be from all these places as well. It means we're descendants of the Canaanites. No, you're not. No, you're not.
right,
The Canaanites have literally zero. Nobody can track their lineage back to the Canaanites. No DNA tests. They integrated into a lot of people. The Canaanites, some of them integrated into the Hebrews.
yeah,
Take a look
but
at the language that they spoke.
I think I agree with this completely. I think, though, ultimately the religious argument, even though the Palestinians especially are so rooted in the religious argument, which if we have, we would win the argument. I
Surah
think,
5:20 and 21.
what is it?
Surah 5 and 5:20 and 5:21 are
So,
talking about the fact that this land belongs to Moses and Bnei Israel.
right. I mean, their argument, the Muslim argument, is that we sinned, so we forfeited it. That's really what they
Oh yeah, we sinned.
believe. That's what I was when I had Mordechai Kedar on. I want to send you the debate. I want to send it to you. I apologize in advance for the audio quality. One of the guys didn't have great audio. In general, sometimes my videos don't come out the best with the audio, but there was a little bit of in and out with the audio, but nonetheless a great episode. And I said, "Who are you to decide who sinned more or what sins were worse? So now in the Arab world, with all the killing that you do to each other, you're more worthy of the land. All of the terrible things that go on in the Muslim world, you have more of a right to it.
Exactly.
That's a little weird. I said that's a little odd.
Mhm.
And I said God is the only one who can make that decision on who's more deserving of it. How we're going to make a tally of like you did 786 sins, you did do 10,000 sins. Okay, well, based on the tally, like you're gonna have some guy sitting at a desk tallying off all the sins that Muslim sin did that, a Jew did that. All right, well, based on the sin count, it's so stupid. Makes no sense, dude. So that's really
Imagine them taking it. Imagine them taking it to the ICJ, to the International Court of Justice. Who sinned
80%.
more?
Yeah. But I think for me the argument is it's all fair in love and war. For me, I'm just very much of the belief of you have two groups fighting over land. You fight, you come together. You can't come to a verbal agreement, so you go at each other's teeth. You lose. You not only lose, but you outnumber the other side. You outnumber your enemy, and you lose over and over and over again. It's over. You
But
had your
again, it's
chance.
not. We both agree. We both agree that it's not about land. We both agreed that it's not about land because we offered land back and they refused. So it's not about land. Now the core issue is religion. The core issue is they don't want to live next to Jews because when we came here, when we came back, we
Mhm.
didn't come here. When we came back here from different parts of the world, we said, hey, Judea was a lot bigger than what it is now. Judea spread to Lebanon. Some parts even came to, touched Iraq and Syria.
So,
We came to this place and we said, hey, we don't mind sharing. We don't mind. Give us the shittiest parts. We don't care. Give us the desert. The desert. Nobody lived in the desert. And they're saying
right,
that we took their land. Nobody lived there.
right,
Um, and we also took the swamplands and everything. So we agreed to live here with the other people that lived here. They didn't. And we
right.
did everything legally. We purchased land legally. Everything was legal.
Heard you mentioning these points on a recent video. Yep.
Yeah. We've been purchasing lands from Arabs for a lot before 1948. So everything was legal. The League of Nations in 1922 also approved it legally. The League of Nations is the only valid convention, that actually approved the state. So if everything was legal, your claim means nothing. It's invalid. It's
Mhm.
invalid. Now stop talking about history. Let's talk about what's happening now. That's what I care about.
Right. 100%.
That's it.
Yep. Sahar, you're good, man. You are good. Yep. Okay. Well, I think we did. How long have we been on for? We've been on for about an hour and a half. Exactly,
Yes.
pretty much. Okay. Do you have any finishing thoughts? Anything else you want to add? You can take up as much time as you need, bro. Another 10, 15, 20 minutes. Do you have any more things that you were thinking that you didn't, get a chance to say? I just want to give you more time.
I just want to tell to my fellow Jewish brothers and sisters, if they watch this, and hopefully they do, with this great host right here. Keep your heads high. We are strong, and we will win this. We will. Ignore the noise. All the things you're hearing right now is noise. Um, it's foggy. I know it may seem foggy, but so many people are taking part of this amazing fight, and amazing fight to actually show the truth and prove all of the pro-Palestinian. I call them anti-Zionist, anti-Jewish. Now they're not pro-Palestinians anymore. To prove all the anti-Jews, and know that at the end of the day we got history on our side, which beats any argument that they can bring, any argument. Um, and we are strong in Am Yisrael Chai, and hopefully we can do this again. I hope I enjoy this. Hopefully, I want to be the 282nd host, if that's okay.
I'll
Remember
do
that.
282nd. Okay, hold
Yeah,
on.
write it down. Write it down.
I'm down. You better be available. All right, hold on. Can you see it? It's a little blurry.
Yes,
It's backwards too. Episode 282.
perfect.
Now, there will be 282 episodes. That's for damn sure. So
I can see.
we're already at 172. So we just need 100 more, and you're golden. We can hopefully have you on before that. It doesn't have to be another 100 episodes. But yeah, dude, I had
Maybe we
such
can have like a physical one, like inside a room, inside a studio.
absolutely. Hopefully by then I'll have a real state of the art studio at that point. That'll be
Amen.
great. Are you a whiskey guy?
I actually don't really understand the hype about whiskey, to be honest. People try to give
Um,
me some whiskey, don't like it so much.
So I'm not a big drinker these days. During my college and high school days, I drank a lot more. But if and when I do drink, I'll do red wine or whiskey typically. What's your go-to if you drink something?
Probably beer.
All right,
Give me like
selective.
this disgusting Gold Star beer, I'm good.
Fair enough. Sounds good. All right, Sahar, I appreciate you.
Thank you,
I
Rafi.
thank you for joining me. My pleasure, brother. It has been a really, really great episode. I hope everybody that made it this far really, really got a lot from it and enjoyed it. Make sure to check out Sahar's content. You can follow him on Instagram at official SaharTV. You can go and follow him on all social media accounts by going to his link in bio, which will connect you to all the accounts. If you want to mention anything else for people to check you out, Discord, Patreon, whatever, anything you have that you want people to check out, go ahead.
It's official Sahar TV on Instagram and official Sahar TV 2.0 on TikTok because they banned my original account when I got 13,000 followers.
Mhm.
So just know that all of my accounts are official Sahar TV, and I'm going to start streaming my debates on Omi TV. It's going to be streamed on YouTube. People are going to see exactly how I'm speaking to people. I'm not going to skip anything. Hopefully, people are not doing R-rated things, but it's going to be streamed, and hopefully, it's going to be a good experience and adventure for you guys as well. That's it.
Fantastic. Ladies and gents, this has been another episode of the Soothing Semantics podcast. I'm your host, Rafi Pinsky. Make sure to subscribe, smash the like button, leave your comments. Obviously, go to Rafi the Realtor on Instagram. To follow my podcast, you know where to go. And for my weekly real estate newsletter, you can follow the link in bio. If you have my contact info, you can just message me and let me know that you want to stay in the know for everything real estate. Thank you guys for watching. Am Yisrael Chai. Enjoy.